As I serve here as the pastor of the church, I also have my other job that comes with it, and that is chaplain to Boy Scout Troop 51. One of my duties that I enjoy very much. And the way I carry that out, one way I carry that out, is I stalk all of you on Facebook. I know what you post. I follow every bit of your life. And over the last couple of weeks, one thing struck me. And I'm not naming anyone, but one of the moms, over a few days, very proudly posted how her son enlisted in the army. And that struck me. She sends her baby off with a gun in his hand to eventually get killed. That should scare a mother to death, and I'm sure it does. But she was also full of joy and pride. That struck me. Then we saw a picture posted of him when he was sworn in. And I have to confess I've never done that, so I even had to look up the oath of enlistment. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so help me God. That is the highest expression of what I want to call stewardship of country. As Boy Scouts, you'll learn to serve God and country, but wording it that expressively, that dutifully, so full of pride. Stewardship means you take care of something, and by that you take care of your nation. That's at least 50% of what Boy Scouts try to teach you. So Troop 51 must be doing something right there to have the enlistment and that proud mom with them. Today we gather in a church service for Veterans Day. So we're here to celebrate that stewardship of country, but also remind ourselves of our duty for stewardship for the church. And we've had a couple of examples earlier in our service, because either through baptism or affirmation of faith, when you become a member of your church, whatever that may be, you pretty much take that oath of enlistment. You pledge part of your energy, part of your income, part of your life to that ministry, to that community of faith, that in turn grants you strength and education and hope and love and whatever you may want to find in it. And that comes also with service. Quite a few of you that I see here today are married. That is another example of where you take stewardship, where you're in charge of a relationship and you've got to make it work. Your wedding vows are pretty much an oath of enlistment. I will serve this relationship to the best of my ability, so help me God. We don't word it that way, but really that's what it means. I will do everything to make that thing work with that person. That's not only true for marriage, that's true for all kinds of relationships and friendships. We take care of the ones that we love and that love us. And over a distance, that may just mean making the effort to stay in touch with a friend we haven't seen in years. At least give them a call, send them a Christmas card. Be a good steward of that relationship. Most of the time, stewardship comes with money. And Scouts learn that too. When you work on your merit badge for personal management, you learn how to create a budget, how to save for stuff, and be mindful of how to manage your money. Our country asks the same thing of us. We got to pay our taxes, because we pledged to make that thing work, that relationship that 300 million people share in this country. We, the people, are automatically enlisted just by the virtue of being here. We, the people, are here to be stewards of the money of our country as well. And that again holds true in church. Your community of faith wouldn't work without your contribution. Our local church here is running a deficit every year, and we're planning on that. We're planning on that because we need to fuel the growth we've been experiencing. Our regional body, the Rocky Mountain Conference, set a goal of 5% growth in worship attendance per year. As our own local church, we decided, we want to grow double that. We want to grow 10%. And guess what? Year to date, we've grown 30. So we need to stop growing. But there is that truth still that our Vision 2021 takes 10 years to bring us to a size where we're financially sustainable. So in a year or two, we'll have to make the tough decisions to fuel our further growth by going into debt, because we will run out of our savings, and we will keep growing. So we got to sustain that growth. And making those tough decisions, that's good stewardship. We can't just keep going. We need to work hard, and we need to make the tough calls. And once you start talking about money, relationships get harder or better. But really, money fights are a big one when it comes to relationship problems. Money fights can be symptoms or cause, or both. Talking money is a tough one. But also, in relationships, money terms can sometimes help. You don't always have to fight over what to buy and what not to buy, or who's spending too much and you're crazy and irresponsible and all that. Money terms can help when you think of your relationship in financial terms. Because with your partner, your spouse, you really have an emotional bank account. If you make them feel good, you'll be in the positive, and you can live together easier. If you strain their emotional bank and overdraft all the time, you're walking on a glass ceiling there, and every step is dangerous. Makes sense to emotionally invest and build up your savings. Anyway, you got to learn how to do the math. You need to gain some sort of financial literacy regardless of the area you're applying it to. The Gospel of Matthew quotes Jesus saying, "Your treasure is where your heart is." You can pretty much follow your attitude and determine who you are by looking at your checkbook and see where your money goes. That tells you where your priorities are. The priorities of your budget tell the priorities of your heart. What do you spend the most money on? And the least? Or anything in between? That's what matters. Because that's how you act. That's how you live. That's what you are. The Bible calls for an offering of your first fruit. Now that's a game changer in most people's brains. The donation for my church should be my first fruit. That first payment that I make in the month, in the paycheck term. The first of your fruits. Not just leftovers at the end of a pay period. And there is beauty in that concept. Not because it makes budgeting for the church easier, which is nice too, but it is a matter of spiritual hygiene. Because if you don't do that, you always think you should, and you wish you had, and you have to feel a lot about it. But once you have a written plan and you write that check and you're done with it, you don't have to deal with all those emotions. How did we hear earlier? When Paul wrote to the Corinthians, remember, a stingy planter gets a stingy crop. A lavish planter gets a lavish crop. I want each of you to take plenty of time to think it over and make up your own mind what you will give that will protect you against sob stories and arm twisting. God loves it when the giver delights in the giving. And around here we don't believe that there's any eternal reward for what you give or what you don't give. It really doesn't matter in terms of salvation, how God loves you, how you love God. We just need some funds to run the church. But what you give is a sign of a healthy relationship with our church. Pledging and following through with your pledge are matters of spiritual hygiene. Yes, I took care of that, and I gave my first fruit to the service of my God. So when you pledge your allegiance to country, to partner, to yourself with your budgeting, to your tradition of faith, that will actually help you. May God help you with that.